Attention passionate Washington Commanders fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC East and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Washington Commanders' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Washington Commanders fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with YOUR, FRINDS and Washington Commanders FANS. Let's get to the news now, folks. When you think about the Washington Commanders and their quest for greatness, there's always a lot of moving parts, right? We all know that the NFL is a league where roster decisions, contracts, and player performances can make or break a team's season. And this offseason, there's been a lot of buzz surrounding the Commanders, especially when it comes to their star players and the work the front office has been doing to build a competitive squad. But one of the biggest stories that's been dominating the headlines lately is the resolution of the contract saga involving none other than Terry McLaurin, one of the most electrifying wide receivers in the league today. For months, fans, analysts, and even players themselves have been eagerly awaiting news about McLaurin's future with Washington. It's been a long, drawn-out process, filled with negotiations, uncertainties, and a fair share of tension. You see, McLaurin has been a cornerstone for the Commanders since he was drafted, consistently proving his value on the field, making impossible catches, and being a reliable target for whoever was under center. His ability to stretch defenses and make big plays in crucial moments has made him a fan favorite, not to mention a vital piece in the team's offensive puzzle. But as often happens in the NFL, the question of money and long-term commitment can cloud the relationship, especially for a player who's entering the prime of his career. Fans started to worry as the weeks went by without an official deal. There was a lot of back and forth, negotiations seemingly hitting dead ends, and rumors swirling about whether McLaurin would stick around long-term. The tension was palpable. Everyone was wondering if this could turn into a distraction for the team, especially with training camp approaching and the season just around the corner. But just when it looked like the situation might spiral out of control, a major breakthrough was announced. That's right, folks. Terry McLaurin has officially signed a new 3-year extension worth $96 million, including a $30 million signing bonus. This isn't just a patch-up deal. It's a clear statement that Washington values him as a franchise player and wants to keep him in the fold for years to come. This deal is a huge win for the Commanders, not just because of the money involved, but because it stabilizes one of the most important positions on the field. With McLaurin secured, the team can now focus on building around him, knowing they have a reliable, dynamic receiver who can carry the offense in critical moments. And make no mistake, McLaurin's impact on the field has been undeniable. Last season, he racked up over 1,000 receiving yards and scored several key touchdowns, often making highlight reel catches that kept Washington competitive in games that could have easily slipped away. His chemistry with the quarterback, whether it was Carson Wentz or Sam Howell, has shown flashes of becoming elite, and now that his future is secured, expect him to take that next step in 2024. But as we all know, the NFL never stops, and behind the scenes, other priorities are waiting in the wings. One of the key figures in Washington's offensive line, and certainly a player whose future contract situation is just as critical, is Laremy Tunsil. The Commanders made a blockbuster trade this offseason to bring him in from the Houston Texans, and many believe he could be the anchor of their offensive line for years to come. Tunsil, a 5-time Pro Bowl left tackle, was acquired to be the blindside protector for the team's young quarterback, Jayden Daniels, who's got a bright future. The idea is simple but vital. If you want your QB to succeed, you need to give him protection, and Tunsil is one of the best at doing just that. Now, the trade was a significant investment. Washington had to give up a premium to get him, and there's a lot riding on whether this move will pay off in the long run. Tunsil, at 31 years old, is still playing at an elite level, but his contract situation is now a hot topic. He's got 2 more years left on his deal, but he's made it clear that he's always prided himself on being among the highest-paid tackles in the league. The reality is, if he performs well in 2025, and the team doesn't lock him up beforehand, he'll probably follow the same path as McLaurin, looking for that big payday, possibly testing free agency to maximize his earnings. That's why Washington's front office needs to be proactive. They must prioritize locking in Tunsil soon to avoid the risk of losing him or facing a bidding war that could drive costs even higher. The team sees Tunsil not as a temporary fix, but as a long-term solution, a cornerstone for their offensive line that can protect Jaden Daniels and open running lanes for the likes of Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson. Tackles like Tunsil don't just perform well into their 30s, they often play at a high level, and the Commanders want to ensure they get the most value out of him while he's still in his prime. The problem is, the clock is ticking. Negotiations with Tunsil, just like with McLaurin, need to happen sooner rather than later. The team has to balance their salary cap, their long-term vision, and the immediate need to keep their stars happy and motivated. Locking Tunsil down now could save them money, prevent distractions, and send a strong message to the rest of the locker room that Washington is serious about building a championship-caliber team. And it's not just Tunsil and McLaurin who are on the radar. The front office is also keeping an eye on other key players like cornerback Marshawn Lattimore and wide receiver Deebo Samuel SR, who are also in the process of negotiating new deals. But among all these negotiations, securing McLaurin's extension was probably the most urgent, and now it's done. That's a huge relief for fans, players, and coaches alike. It means the team can now shift focus to other important contract talks without the looming shadow of uncertainty hanging over them. This entire saga highlights the importance of smart management and strategic planning. The Commanders are trying to build a roster that not only competes but sustains success over multiple seasons. McLaurin's deal is a testament to their commitment, but the real challenge now is to maintain that momentum, keep their core pieces in place, and continue improving. The NFC East is more competitive than ever, with teams like the Eagles and Cowboys loading up their rosters, so Washington can't afford to rest on their laurels. They need to keep pushing, keep acquiring talent, and keep their franchise quarterback, Jaden Daniels, protected and supported. Speaking of Jaden Daniels, it's clear that the team's investment in Tunsil is directly tied to the development of their young quarterback. Daniels showed flashes of brilliance last season, but to truly unlock his potential, he needs a solid offensive line. That's where Tunsil comes into play, a veteran with the experience and skill set to anchor that line and give Daniels the time he needs to make those deep throws and extend plays. The synergy between a franchise QB and a premier tackle is often what separates good teams from great ones, and Washington seems to understand that now more than ever. So, looking ahead, the big question is, will the Commanders be able to finalize deals with Tunsil and others before the season kicks off? The clock is ticking, and the stakes are high. Every day that passes without a contract extension can create uncertainty, but it also puts pressure on the front office to act fast. If they manage to lock in Tunsil soon, it will send a message that Washington is serious about competing at the highest level. And if McLaurin's deal is any indication, they're willing to pay big for their stars. The fans are excited, the players are motivated, and the coaching staff is optimistic. But nothing is set in stone yet. Washington needs to keep up this momentum, finalize these negotiations, and keep their eyes on the prize, a deep playoff run, and ultimately, another shot at the Super Bowl. The NFC East is fierce, and every game counts more than ever. With McLaurin secured and Tunsil potentially on the verge of signing a long-term extension, the Commanders are positioning themselves to be serious contenders in 2024. Remember, folks, this is just the beginning. The offseason is where champions are built, and Washington is clearly aiming for the top. So stay tuned, because I'll be right here with all the latest updates, analyzing every move, every contract, and every game-changing play. The future looks bright for the Commanders, and I can't wait to see how this story unfolds as we approach the new season. And now, Washington Commanders fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on these contract negotiations? Do you think locking in Tunsil now is the right move? How much do you think McLaurin's extension will impact the team's chances in 2024? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Washington Commanders. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Washington Commanders news.